this time, like a fire in a blaze, gotta burn it down.
All right, here we are, folks.
Can't be afraid to leave this out. We got this far, don't know how. I see danger in your eyes. They know we'll burn down the night. Coming just like the sunrise. You know that we gonna light it up tonight. We gonna light it up tonight. We gonna light it up just like the sunrise. We gonna light it up.
Welcome back once again. This is Chris Report, and he assured me that since I'm in town in Boulders, folks, this is Chris Wyatt reporting from South Africa.
Afrikaans für my Mensa, Afrikaans für uns Mensa. Welcome back to the program, folks. Whether you speak Afrikaans or Deutsch or Francais or Kosa Venda, or you speak Tagalog from the Philippines, whatever you speak, folks, around the world, Mandarin, welcome back to the program. It's a pleasure to have you back with me once again today, Monday, March 11th, 2024. Whew, boy, the years is zipping on by as they all seem to at this time. Let me address something very quickly here at the outset that I think it's important. It is fascinating for me to see people who have never commented on a video, who have never entered the chat before, suddenly make a comment on my video that's unrelated to what I'm talking about since I started running for political office. Now, I'm not accusing those people of being trolls. The person may very well have been there all along. But it does beg the question when the person makes a statement, and let me address this very quickly. Hey, Gabrielle, you're there in the Switzerland. So a video comment was posted to my comment yesterday, which the person said that they watch all my videos, they love my channel, but they're concerned about my strong views on abortion. I'm sorry, when have I expressed strong views about abortion? Let me clarify. I have expressed strong views about protecting life. I spent 36 and a half years in uniform my entire adult life, virtually, defending the Constitution to protect all Americans at home and abroad, to ensure their safety. And that protection doesn't only happen when someone has exited the birth canal or popped out through a cesarean. It is for all Americans and legitimate green card holders in this country and visitors who come here. So if you want to say that I have strong views on abortion, then you're going to need to point to where I've called for limiting abortion, or where I've called for it being illegal, or where I've called for people to be in prison for it. I don't recall ever doing that on this program. Someone's welcome to point out where I did. I don't recall ever doing it. I've never said that even as a candidate that I would take up the mantle of abortion. I've never said that. What I have expressed is disgust at how easily people destroy other people's lives and call it a right. It's not a right. No one has a right to end someone else's life. The state does, but we give the state that right. No one has the right to end someone else's life. That's a very different statement than claiming I have strong views on abortion. I have strong views on killing people. That's what I have. I find it morally reprehensible to kill people, whether in combat, although it's a necessary evil at times, or through crime, or through terminating the life of a child because you don't want a child. Well, we can talk about the circumstances if and when an abortion is necessary, appropriate, or morally correct. Some people believe it's never morally correct, and that is their view. Others believe you should be able to kill a child after it's been born. So if you think that I have strong views about abortion because I think it's wrong to murder a living human being because they're inconvenient, because you don't want to deal with them, well, I think that maybe you're being a bit dishonest, the person who says that. Anyway, there's my thoughts on that. This is my opening commentary on that issue. And I thank the person who put the comments up there. Either you really haven't been watching my videos and haven't heard everything I've said about this issue, or you're trolling, one of the two. But whatever the case is, it's an abominable practice that should only be necessary in the most desperate of circumstances. If people don't want children, there are ways to avoid having children. Number one, don't have sex. But of course, they'll come back and say, well, what about incest and rape? Yes, what about incest and rape? We can talk about that. But we're not talking about that. We're talking about people who use abortion as a means of birth control. That's just not right. That's someone else's life you're taking away. That's not a strong view on abortion. That's a very strong view on the Constitution and protecting American freedoms. The purpose of government is to ensure that we're all safe and that there's a level playing field. Anyway, folks, that's my opening monologue. Let me say hello to everybody in the chat before we get to the news. Pip Jacobs is here. Teresa and YouTube just keep spinning my video. Why do you do that, YouTube? Pip Jacobs, Teresa, Shawnee, Chave, Brian Lawrence, and Nick Muller. Teresa, did I say Teresa already? I did say Teresa. Arbot's here, Monray Siebritz, Dylan Combrick, Garrett Pauly, Eric is here. Hey, Erica, how are you doing? Ashley Engelbrecht, Brian Lawrenson, Andreo Fick is here, George Steinberg, Wolf K, Gabrielle from Switzerland, and Ants is here, and Marilyn Brokenshaw, and Andre Patrick. I think I caught everybody. If I missed you, it wasn't intentional. My apologies for it. It's the usual suspects, a few people who've been in here a lot lately, but not there previously, and a number of people we just don't see anymore. Andre Jacobs, don't see Andre Jacobs here anymore, unless that's Andre, but I don't think that's Andre. I think that's a different Andre. And a host of other people. But anyway, thanks for being here, folks. I do appreciate it. We'll get to the news here in just a moment, but I just wanted to share that. Listen, when people take sound bites or they listen to one topic and they make a determination about somebody, that's just not even legitimate. You know, I had a gentleman on my campaign website for Facebook who posted on a photo. I didn't even know you could post on people's photos. I didn't even know you could see those. I just loaded the photo up to put on my site. But it doesn't show up as a post. I mean, it was part of a post, so I don't understand. So apparently you don't have to comment on the post. You can go to the actual photo. I didn't realize that because I don't use Facebook that much. And the gentleman said, well, I was excited to support your campaign, but I see you're supporting term limits. That's dumb. Not the exact words, but that's stupid. How can you do that? That's going to lead to a can of worms. I can't support you if you support term limits. Well, the thing is that that gentleman is welcome to his view and welcome to his decision. But if you decide that you're going to support a candidate or not support a candidate based on a single issue, well, you need to call into question your actual vote. I mean, I don't agree with everything that my state representative says. I don't agree with everything that my member of Congress says, or either my senators, or the president for that matter. But I don't vote for people for single issues. That's frightening. Now, I know that a lot of people vote on the issue of abortion. That's one thing. Another is people are voting just because Joe Biden is not competent. They're going to vote against him. But a single issue, it's dangerous, folks. So you would toss aside a candidate who will address virtually every one of your desires and needs to improve governance and ensure accountability and transparency because you have one issue that you don't understand. And when I responded to this question, I pointed out that Alexander Hamilton in the Federalist Papers explicitly stated that the Convention of States should only be called for a single issue. I signed a pledge stating that I would support calling for a Convention of States for a single issue term limits. That doesn't mean that I support term limits. It doesn't mean that I don't support term limits. It means that under the Constitution, the people have a right to hold a Convention of States to address legislation. That is how the Constitution works. And I support and defend the Constitution. I'd be very much a hypocrite if I did not allow for the concept of a Convention of States. So I am consistent. Now, if I didn't sign that and I opposed it, then I'm sure that I would have been attacked for being inconsistent. But Article 5 of the Constitution, I'm trying to find it now here, so let's see where we're at here. Article 4, Article 5. The Congress, whenever 2/3 of both houses deem it necessary, shall propose amendments to the Constitution or to the application of legislatures of 2/3 in several states shall call a convention for proposing amendments, which in either case shall be valid to all intents and purposes as part of this Constitution. When ratified by the legislatures of 3/4 of the states or by conventions in 3/4 thereof, as one of the mode of ratification may be proposed by the Congress, provided that no amendment which may be made prior to the year 1808 shall in any manner affect the first and fourth clause of the 9th section of this first article, and that no state without its consent shall be deprived of its equal suffrage in the Senate. So that is a Convention of States, Article 5 of the U.S. Constitution. This Constitution calls for the ability of the people to hold a Convention of States to alter our laws. That's the Constitution. I took an oath to support and defend the Constitution, and I will support and defend that. Whether I agree with the Convention of States or not is a different story. But I will support the public's right to have that. There you go. And the gentleman said, he can't vote for me because of that. Well, if that's your decision, that's your decision. But of course, you offer no explanation to me why a Convention of States would be the disaster that you claim it will be. What evidence do you have of that? It would be helpful if you share it. Bruce is here. Mike is here. Hey, how's it going? Rennie Font, Keith Alderson, Alan Kotza, Ken Ernston, just doesn't always comment. I know that, Ken. Ulrich Fenter, and there's Debbie Morey. It's called TikTok Education, Chris. Listening to something simple and make serious conclusions. Exactly, it is. It is. It's very disturbing. But I believe that some of what's happening is I'm getting people who are intentionally trying to find information out so they can use it for sound bites. That's whatever, whatever. Rational, cogent people will hear what they want to hear, and they'll make their decision based on that. If people don't vote for me and I don't become the next representative for this district, then that's unfortunate for the residents of this district, because you won't find a better candidate than me. But the best candidate doesn't always win. So sometimes people spend tons of money and outspend people. Sometimes people cheat and are dishonest. Sometimes people are just more popular for whatever reason, because you went to church with somebody, or you went to high school with somebody, or you've done business with somebody for years. And that's all fine. It's up to the voters to make their decision. And same thing in South Africa coming up very soon. Ivan says, just state when you stand for, and you'll do well and intact. When all is said and done, vote for Chris. Thank you, Ivan. Appreciate that. What's my slogan? Presidents to plumbers and everybody in between. Yeah, don't really have a slogan as such. But anyway, yeah, so thanks for being here, folks. It's good to see you all on a Monday. I don't want to say I'm not looking forward to this week, but this is going to be a very difficult week for me. My calendar is chock full, lots of things going on. The debate is Wednesday, and they still have not provided a link for the live stream. Very disappointed in that. I was also never informed that I could share the poster, which I was told had a moratorium. And then after waiting several days, people coming up to me saying, I noticed that you don't have a beard on the poster. I'm like, what poster? For the debate. I said, you have that? They're like, yeah. I said, well, I was told I couldn't share it. I wonder where you got it from. So other candidates apparently were allowed to share it, and I was prevented from sharing it, or maybe just the Republicans shared it. I'm not sure which, but there's some fishy things going on. So, Shireen, hello to you. From personal experience, abortion is a very complex and private decision. Agreed, Ken. Agreed. 100% agreed. But someone saying I have strong views on abortion when what I'm talking about is life, not abortion. Yeah, that's just not accurate. You need to be accurate here. When have I come on here and, have I sat in front of an abortion clinic? Have I protested for or against abortion? What was that? Something just sounded here. No, I have not used my program to promote or to attack the proponents of it. I have said it's a ghoulish practice, and in most cases should be unnecessary. But anyway, so that's, people will hear what they want to hear. It's the nature of things. It is the nature of things. The Independent Electoral Commission has confirmed that over the weekend, the MK Party and the African National Congress party list were revealed in a criminal act, and they're investigating at this hour. So thank you, Ken. I never have. And that's the truth. Thank you for that. I can never recall an instance, and I've done thousands of broadcasts where I've done it. Now, I've attacked the people who think it's appropriate to murder a child after it's been born. In New York, when they wept with joy, now we can commit abortion after the child is born. They were excited about it. What kind of sick people do that? It's a horrible situation when someone has to go through that decision. So anyway, thank you very much for that. So the IEC has confirmed, in fact, that this did happen, and we'll see what comes out of this. Will somebody be prosecuted? Maybe a fall guy. The Independent Electoral Commission has confirmed that investigations underway into the circumstances that led to a leak of the ANC and MK Party candidate list for the upcoming election. Yep, so we'll see what happens on that. The ANC candidate list leak was unfortunate, but not representative of the IEC system, says Cyril Ramaphosa. Of course he says that, because the IEC does a really good job of making sure the ANC wins every time. The African National Congress President Cyril Ramaphosa stated that the unauthorized leaking of the party's candidate list for the upcoming elections was unfortunate. However, he remains confident in the Electoral Commission to manage the electoral process. Not nearly as much, having seen how they have pooched things in the past. Well, the Inkatha Freedom Party launches its party manifesto, and they're making a lot of promises. A big spectacle with calls to action against poverty, corruption, and crime. And there he is, of course, Mr. Velenkosini Hlabisa, greeting the crowd at the Inkatha Freedom Party's launch, the successor of Mangosuthu Buthelezi. Thousands of IFP members filled up Moses Madiba Stadium to hear the party launch its 2024 election manifesto. The party's 13-point plan emphasized tackling immigration challenges and reserving jobs for South Africans. So xenophobia. Okay. Launching the IFP's election manifesto on Sunday saw party president unveil the party's 13-point plan and a pretty full stadium. Not packed, but pretty full. The lower level's packed and much of the upper level's packed. It's a huge stadium. So not bad for the IFP. Supporters were transported to the stadium from all corners of KwaZulu-Natal, Mpumalanga, and the Eastern Cape. Spirits in the stadium were dampened, however, when it was announced that at least 36 people had been injured when 3 buses bringing people to launch were involved in an accident near Kringlovo. Highlight of the day was IFP helicopter hovering over the stadium with a giant IFP flag featuring the face of the late founder, Prince Mangosuthu Buthelezi. Why am I keep getting these notifications? What has Microsoft done to my computer? That's very annoying. What is this? Let me see. What's the notification? All right, there we go. Anyway, that and the T-shirts worn by IFP supporters with the slogan, "Do it for Shenge," Buthelezi's clan name, underscored the fact that the IFP is relying heavily on the appeal of its founder to draw support. We'll see, but the IFP is losing support according to a national poll from Brenthurst. We'll get to that. And that poll, which we're going to talk about right now, says that things are going very well for Jacob Zuma's MK party, even though it has no budget, it has no constitution, it has no headquarters, it has no source of financing that has been publicly disclosed. The MK party, just a few months old, is doing quite well. The Brenthurst Foundation poll shockingly says 13% of voters nationwide intend to vote for them in May. Much higher percentage in KwaZulu-Natal. Zuma's MK party could get more votes than the EFF, and I think that's a very real possibility, folks. Former President Jacob Zuma's Umkhonto we Sizwe party could be the 3rd largest party by outperforming the EFF. In the Brenthurst Foundation poll, MK support is at 13% nationwide, while the EFF is only 10%, down from 17% in October. A huge swing for the pajama-clad, prison suit-wearing EFF. Jacob Zuma's MK party is polling ahead, according to the IOL as well. Same story. Found that the ANC support at national level will drop to 39%. Now, I'm going to ask you a question, folks. Does anybody recall my prediction after the municipal elections in South Africa in November of 2021? What did I say the ANC was going to poll in 2024? Not knowing the month it was going to happen, but knowing the 6-month window. Not knowing that the ANC would pooch up load shedding, that the number of people being murdered would climb from 50 to 60 to 70 to 82 people per day. Not knowing that the ANC could screw things up even more than ever, but just based on reading the tea leaves, doing the analysis, looking at the electorate, and looking at the likely outcomes in November of 2021, what did I say? 38 to 42%. 38 to 42%. That's right, Paulie. 38, and Garrett hit it spot on. 38 was the low end, 42% was the high end. I said best case for the ANC. I said the ANC will not get 42% in a free and fair election. I can't predict that it'll be a free and fair election. I can hope that it is, but in a free and fair election, there's no way the ANC gets over 42%. This Brenthurst poll, which is admittedly just one poll, but it's a pretty sound poll, saying that the ANC is now at 39%. So, no state capture accused has been left off the hook, according to Fikile Mabulula. Yes, okay. The ANC has defended its decision election candidate selection list process as rigorous, saying no one has been let off the hook. The party believes its process has been scrutinized and handled with transparency, and it has placed its best foot forward. We have implemented strict criteria to ensure the integrity and credibility of our candidates, said ANC Secretary General Fikile Mabulula. What you talk about, Willis? Transparency. Ooh. Integrity and credibility. 2 words that virtually no one associates with the African National Congress or the Democratic National Party. Oh, my goodness. Integrity and credibility. 2 things you're in very short supply of there, Fikile Mabulula. It's important that candidates do not have... I'm all choked up. Do not have any pending court cases or disciplinary hearings that allows them to fully focus on their responsibilities. Well, duh, that's why the ANC implemented the step-aside policy, which you don't follow. The party required candidates to meet requirements such as possessing a post-matric qualification, so you have to have a university degree in order to run for office. What kind of crap is that? completing leadership modules of the O.R. Tambo School of Leadership. This is how you assemble a bomb. This is how you plant the bomb. This is how you kill people with tires. You light it with gasoline. You put petrol inside. The O.R. Tambo School of Leadership. Yep. The ANC membership in good standing. Well, that's not hard to do. Even thieves have membership in good standing. Commitment to the movement. Ooh, that's easy. Just swear your loyalty and fealty. And have no criminal record. Oh, that last one could be a challenge for ANC hopefuls. Of course, none of them ever get prosecuted, so we avoid the criminal record because you simply don't prosecute them. You charge them with crimes or you identify that they're guilty of crimes and don't prosecute them. So that would be Jacob Zuma in the arms deal. Judge Hilary Squires said he was guilty, but he wasn't on trial, so he couldn't levy a sanction. And there were never any charges against Jacob Zuma that were ever brought forward and prosecuted for his clear corruption, according to Judge Hilary Squires. Not to mention, Drs. William Kesey, the Special Investigating Unit, said that he is guilty of taking payouts over the Digital Vibe scandal. Yet he is still in Parliament, has not been charged with a crime, has not been sanctioned for ethics violations, and is on the party list to go forward. Yeah, transparency, integrity, and credibility. These are things that the ANC does not have. Yes, senior members, the IOL points out, of the ANC implicated in state capture remain on the list. There you go. Senior ANC members implicated in state capture have been included on the ruling party's list that was submitted to the Electoral Commission of South Africa. Yep, we've noted with concern the ANC candidate lists that appear to emanate from the IEC online candidate nomination system are now circulating in social media. We've conveyed our concerns to the IEC, yada, yada. Who cares about that? Anyway. So, they're more concerned about the list being leaked than they are about having accused criminals on the list. Yeah, thieves investigating themselves. Well, I've talked about the Brenthurst Foundation poll, and we're going to talk about more specifically right now. And there are some shocking developments. For those who tuned into my live stream last night, which I did at 1 a.m. my time because I thought it was an important story to break, and I've been slightly rewarded for that with over 5,000 views on it so far. So thank you to everyone who tuned in. In 11 hours and 30 minutes, we got over 5,000 views. But I remember back in the old days on YouTube, I'd get 5,000 views in about 3 minutes of those 100,000 view videos. But anyway, maybe we'll catch back up there. So apparently there is no such thing as shadow banning on YouTube, according to the analyst. The DA and Zuma's MK party are the big winners. ANC and EFF are flopping, according to new Brenthurst survey. A very unflattering photograph of both John Steenhuisen with his tongue gluttily posed there, and of course of the evil one, Jacob Zuma. A new survey shows ANC's foreign policy and weak leadership are turning off voters as the DA and Jacob Zuma's MK party make solid gains 2 months before the election. Apparently only 100 and some parties actually get on the ballot, not the 300 and some that we're trying to get on the ballot, and we'll try to get more news on that as it becomes available. Ken says the new poll by Brenthurst proves you may be a genius. Yeah, and you know what? Just 2 months ago, people told me I was crazy. There's no way the ANC would come that low. No way. They told me. Now, I didn't predict the formation of Mkhonto Sizwe, but it's playing a role in making my prediction come true. But I think we would have gotten there regardless of them. Yeah, but thank you for that, Ken. So here's the Brenthurst Foundation. We're going to go through a few of these slides very quickly, the key ones. All right, so here you go. The ANC gets 39% of the vote if the vote is held today. The Democratic Alliance, 27%. MK, 13%, a party that didn't even exist in the last poll that was in October of last year. So the EFF gets just 10%. The IFP collapses to just 2%, and that is attributable to one thing specific, and I'll tell you exactly what it is. The EFF, the IFP, and the ANC, but the ANC and the IFP in particular have been hit hard by people migrating to the MK party. The DA is actually a little bit better ahead, 3 points ahead, but it's actually the big winners is the MK jumping 13 points from 0, and the big losers are the IFP going from 7 to 2%, and the EFF from 17 to 10%. The ANC is also hurt bad. Brenthurst polling is done by people from all walks of society in South Africa, Michael. I'm very familiar with the Brenthurst Foundation and know Greg Mills. It comes from people from all over. So, yeah, whatever. Really not germane to the story here. So, here is how the support has risen or fallen for these folks. On the left-hand side is the African National Congress. This is November 2022, October 2023, and February 2024. So 13 months apart, and then just 5 months apart for the last one. So the ANC, which in 2019 was at 46%, is now at 44%, 41%, and 39% in the latest poll. The multi-party charter, which was announced in August of last year, which I covered, had 36% support in October. That's down to 33%, but that's mostly attributable to the Action SA and IFP losing support. The DA has gained 4 percentage points in this latest poll. The MK is 13%. The EFF has dropped from 17% to 10%, and the IFP 72%, Action SA from 3% to 2%, and that's what's killing the multi-party charter. In Gauteng province, we're going to cover this, and we're going to cover this province. We're also going to cover KZN because these two really, really matter. So, in Gauteng, the multi-party charter has the highest number at 38%. The ANC at 34%, the DA at 32%, the EFF at 11%, MK, shockingly, in Gauteng at 6%. But not so shocking when you realize that most people voting for this party are voting based on ethnicity. They're voting based on support for Jacob Zuma, which is unwarranted. The man is a criminal and should be in prison. Case closed. Arms deal, state capture, the Guptas, interfering with governance, violating South African Constitution, and contempt of court. Take your pick. Should be in prison. But Jacob Zuma's support is the reason why they're getting 6% in Gauteng. There are a lot of Zulu who live in the High Veld, and that is having an impact there. So let's take a look at KZN, and then we'll stop on these charts. In KwaZulu-Natal, the multi-party charter is also the top polling. Now, that's important to note. They don't have enough to govern at 38% in Gauteng, and they're at 39% in KZN. So there's not enough for this coalition of parties to govern in either province, but they have enough to form a basis to look for help. But there isn't enough help out there because the help is going to be the ANC, the EFF, or the MK party, none of which is a desirable outcome to get to 50%. In KZN, the DA actually has 19%. That's not bad in KZN, 19%. Yes, Garrett, the DA has so many opportunities to capitalize on ANC failures, and they're not doing it. They've never done it. They're always going to the courts and saying, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. They always get it wrong. Yep. ANC Youth League is making some pretty bold statements. They said the first mistake of the ANC was to appoint a grade 2 dropout to lead. Ouch. Ouch. ANC Youth League's president Colin Malachi blames former President Zuma for weakening the party and a decline in voters. Taking a swipe at the former state president, Zuma said the first mistake we made, we gave a grade 2 dropout a country to lead for 10 years. Now, the first mistake you made was being thieves. That was your first mistake. Stealing from South Africans and your race policies, implementing hundreds of race-based laws to discriminate against minorities. Those were your first mistakes. Your racism, your bigotry, your hatred, and your lies about South Africa, not to mention failed communist macroeconomic policies, are why South Africa's in the crapper, not because of Jacob Zuma. He's just a symptom of the system that's so broken. Well, we are fishing the same pond, says the IFP. Making inroads. IFP leaders say they're not threatened by the Umkhonto Sizwe party. They held their election manifesto on Sunday. Emboldened IFP leaders say they are not shaken by former President Umkhonto Sizwe party as political parties ramp up campaigns to garner votes for May. The poll has shown the MK party could become the third largest party in the country, clawing support from the ANC, the EFF, and the IFP, which I just said. Yeah. He said, we're not shaken by Umkhonto and Naksamlala. We're going out from the manifesto and we're talking to people and garnering votes. And on 29th of May, we're ready to govern. But you're not going to govern. I'm sorry. Maybe in KZN, you might be able to govern in a coalition, but you're not going to be able to govern. You haven't got the things done, Mr. Hlabisa, which is unfortunate. It's a shame. I'd like to see you do well. Well, the DA support. Now, this is where dishonest journalism comes into play, folks. Now, I'm going to criticize News 24, or as I call it, Propaganda 24. I did a live stream shortly before this. Peter Dutoit from Propaganda 24 did a slavishly devoted, slobbering piece praising Pravin Gordhan for being a great politician. He does correctly point out some of the shortcomings, but he papers over them in trying to say that people should, support Pravin Gordhan because he stood up against the Guptas and against Zuma. He was the only one courageous enough to do it. And, he gets picked on because he's Indian with dog whistle, racial slurs. That's not a reason to support the guy. It's a reason to feel bad for him if it's true, but no reason to support him. So that was Propaganda 24. Here's the latest Propaganda 24. Now, I just showed you part of the survey. And in the survey, the multi-party charter, which is something that the DA envisioned and led the effort and became an initial groundbreaking signatory to it, that coalition that loose coalition of political opposition parties, has the highest percentage of the vote in Gauteng and in KZN. And the DA is up by 3 points in national polls at 27%. Rarefied air. They haven't been there in a while. Yet the News 24 propagandists, instead of talking about how the ANC is imploding and how they only have 20% of the vote in KZN, only 20% of voters, 1 in 5 South Africans in KwaZulu-Natal who are going to vote, say they're going to vote for the ANC. That's a disaster. They got 60% of that problems 2 elections ago, and they're going to get 20%. But this elections, DA support in Western Cape will dip while ANCs will grow, poll shows. So that's the headline they run, that the DA support in Western Cape will dip. It's going to dip by 2 percentage points. The ANC is losing 40 points in KZN. They're losing Gauteng, where they only have 33% of the vote. Yet the Propaganda 24 runs a story saying that the DA is the one collapsing. It's just nonsense. Look, I'm not a DA supporter, but that's just nonsense. Ken says the best expose in Gordon was by Morning Shot today. Disagree. George agrees. I disagree. Disagree 100%. Have either of you watched my expose? Did either of you watch my expose on it? Anyway, I disagree. Right. Martin Moshal, the billionaire who has donated millions to South African political parties. Who's this guy? He lives in Australia. He's donated almost 60 million rand between April 2021 and December 2023. Who got the money? He donated 35 million to the DA, 20 million to Action SA, and 4 million to Build One South Africa. Wow. This Jewish Australian is pouring a lot of money into South Africa. He's a billionaire. He's a serial entrepreneur in the tech industry. And he's donated 60 million rand to opposition parties in South Africa. Well, Musi Maimane wasn't experienced enough. That's a comment that came from John Steenhuisen in the media. Yep. DA leader John Steenhuisen believes the party's on the right track. He says that the party was in a bad space when Musi Maimane left after his disastrous 2019 elections. And it's impossible to disagree with that. Impossible to disagree with that. Well, here's an interesting story, and this is an investigative report by the Daily Maverick. So I'll take a few moments to unpack it because I need to slide through it and read some of the comments. What have I told you over and over again about land in South Africa? That the land restitution process, as explained by the ANC and the EFF and Black Land First, is a lie. Expropriation with compensation is available in the Constitution, and it has been done for years. Not to mention willing buyer, willing seller. And millions of hectares of land have been transferred to the government. Yet the government doesn't give the land to people. It criminally leases land, and then it picks and chooses winners. And this is a perfect case of how the government and why government should never own your land, why land tenure is so important. When the headman or chief or the politician can take your land away or cancel your lease, you should own land outright. This is a problem. So this story here in the Karoo, the award-winning Karoo wool farmers win a battle to have farms returned after the government locked them out. These colored farmers in the Karoo. A company formed by the sons of farm workers who benefited from the land redistribution program had to go to court to have the land returned to them after a corrupt government official decided to give 2 of their farms to other beneficiaries. The Western Cape High Court has issued an order to restore possession of 2 Beaufort West farms to an award-winning company of wool farmers after the Department of Agriculture, Land Reform, and Rural Development officials cut their gate locks and gave 2 of their farms to other beneficiaries of the government's land reform program. The land was unilaterally taken from us overnight, said Joshua Bezuidenhout. Himself, a beneficiary land reform program, had been building up the farms with his partners, all children of former farm workers. After benefiting from the state's land redistribution program, Joshua, his brother, and Jan Berg built up Neufeld farming empowerment enterprises for 2 decades. However, in January, February of 2024, the government took 2 of the farms that they've been farming since 2017. Officials cut their locks and replaced them with others, locking their prized merino sheep herds into the fields. They couldn't get to them. Wow. Joshua saw an official in a bakkie filled with household goods moving one of the beneficiaries into a farmhouse. Neufeld, however, has been waiting for years for the government to provide a company with a 30-year lease on the farms. Why not transfer title? But their application was denied without reason. The farmers are also taking the Department of Court to have the decision reversed. The Neufeld farmers have 2,665 merino sheep and plan to expand their flock and are creating 10 permanent jobs. In her ruling, Judge Gayat Salih said that the beneficiaries had not followed the process required by department policy to gain possession of the farms. The taking of the property by the department was without any legal process and government order. Joshua said papers filed in the High Court back in 2007 when he first saw a group of farmers known as the Plateau Farm, a group of farms listed as the Plateau Farm, advertised as the government's land redistribution scheme. He said, "I could not believe it. It was close to where I grew up. I also had known the farm since I was a child. It felt like it was fate." So over the next few years, using modern traditional methods to look after sheep, they built up a flock of nearly 3,000 merino sheep and won top prizes and awards for the quality of their wool. They and other beneficiaries were given a 3-year lease, then a 5-year lease, and then in 2018 were told to leave. Wow. They also applied for a 30-year lease. This is the problem when you do not transfer land tenure to the occupants of the land. This is what the ANC wants. They want people dependent on the state. They want to have the ability to steal the improvements you've made, just like they did from farmers in Zimbabwe. The people who took dry, parched land, installed irrigation pipes and modern irrigation methods to irrigate fields to turn them to verdant orchards to produce fruits and nuts, and took dry scrubland and turned it into productive wheat fields and maize fields. And then all of that infrastructure, all of those water towers, all of those irrigation pipes, all of that improvement to the land stolen by corrupt officials. And this is what they want to do in South Africa. They don't want anybody to own anything. These are communists. The state should not own your land. You should own your land. You should own your land. This has been going on for years, and I've reported on the story over and over again. If you want to see a cogent argument about this based on the 2017 land audit conducted by the government of South Africa, go to my LinkedIn page and read the story about land and poverty in South Africa. I've read that story on this program several times, and I've told people about it. But go to LinkedIn, look my name up, and read the story under articles, Land and Poverty, which I wrote in 2017. It's the best and most cogent article out there, and just like Donald Trump, I say it's the best. Yeah, unbelievable. Unbelievable. So weeks after meeting with Jacob Zuma, a rape-accused bishop is on the list for MK. Wow. Weeks after meeting with Zuma, rape-accused Bishop Zondo makes the MK party list. Bishop Bafana Zondo, accused by several women of rape and sexual abuse, appears on the MK Gauteng list that was submitted to the Electoral Commission. That means he can become a lawmaker in the Gauteng provincial legislature should the MK get enough votes in the election. News 24's Manifesto Meter Elections Tool compares party political manifestos. No, we're not going to read that. Okay. Zondo's appearance on the list comes less than a month after meeting with him. Wow. So an accused rapist. That's one of their top candidates. Moving our attention to neighboring Zimbabwe, or Cloud Cuckoo Land as it's well known. Justice Minister Ziyambi says the world turns a blind eye to the good we've done. Good? The NPF hasn't done anything good since 1983. In Zimbabwe, the bill to abolish the death penalty, which is sponsored by an opposition legislator, has received thumbs up by President Mnangagwa. If the bill sponsored by opposition Citizens Coalition for Change lawmaker Edwin Mushwari is passed, this could be a plus for Mnangagwa's administration, which has dealt with diplomatic isolation, in part due to its tainted human rights record. Yeah, cabinet will support any dignified law, even if it's brought before Parliament by the opposition. It's inhumane and cruel in that those sentenced to death suffer from a lot of stress and hallucinations before they're put to death. Secondly, the country has not executed anybody for 19 years and does not make sense to uphold the death penalty. It's cruel and unusual for people who murdered someone else to suffer stress before they die. Not at all. It's not cruel and human. You know, I love how they coddle murderers. They coddle murderers. That's what leftists do. They coddle murderers. Because murderers take out their opponents, and they love that. Well, Ben Free, the victim of ZANU-PF terrorism, who won a case before the SADC tribunal, only to see the corrupt leaders of SADC countries dismantle that tribunal by not electing new judges to the panel, is making a cross-Africa trek from Zimbabwe to Windhoek on his horse. Farmer on horseback riding from Zimbabwe to Windhoek for reinstatement of the SADC tribunal. Ben Freeth gets to know a new horse, Stardust, lent to him by a Namibian farmer after wearing out his horse. A long trek. In 2009, the SADC tribunal ordered Zimbabwe to give farms it had stolen in its catastrophic land grabs back to the farmers. The Zimbabwean government under Mugabe ignored the order. When Ben Freeth headed west on horseback from the derelict Mount Carmel farm near Cheguta in Zimbabwe. He had to lay low. For about 800 kilometers, he avoided roads and stuck to the bush, following game paths where he could, while scouting the drought-stricken land for water and grazing for his horse, Tzedek. It was only after he crossed the border in Namibia at the Kazungulu border post that he could relax, stop fearing attack from forces dispatched by the Zimbabwean government, and publicize the reason for his slow journey to Windhoek, a bid to have the suspended Southern African Development Community Tribunal reestablished. Now, Brenthurst was beaten, tortured. His home was burned to the ground, as was his father-in-law, Mike Campbell, whom after the Mike Campbell Foundation is named. These patriotic Zimbabweans who happen to have insufficient skin pigmentation have been the victims of racist attacks by a racist government, a human rights violator in Zimbabwe. Yep. Mugabe's refusal to abide by the tribunal, with former South African President Jacob Zuma as its willing ally, his subsequent successful campaign to suspend the tribunal at SADC in 2011, has led Freeth to take the approximate 2,000-kilometer journey to Windhoek, where the SADC Secretariat sits in the city's Turnhalle. There you go. It's not going to be reinstated, but good on Ben Freeth. Impressive. It'll make a great movie, Debbie. It'll make a great movie. Ghana's President Akufo-Addo wants Africa's money to come back to Africa. African leaders have called for repatriating 30% of the continent's foreign reserves held overseas. Is this a good idea? Well, one of the nucleus ideas at this year's event was called by Ghana's president to repatriate 30% of reserves held overseas. It was refeatured in an op-ed this week in The Economist, co-authored by presidents of Zambia, Kenya, and Ghana. Some have hailed as visionary revolutionary. It's important to make several nuanced distinctions. Ghana's president is talking about official Forex reserves, that is to say central bank savings, with nothing to do with private money. He's also talking about more than just cash, since official reserves include things like treasury bills and bonds, in foreign governments, gold, and even occasionally the bonds of private companies. Reserves do not usually include less liquid national assets overseas, such as diplomatic holdings or buildings. He's also probably more concerned about medium-term saving instruments like bonds, bills, and fixed deposits. Well, this would have been a good idea a long time ago, but maybe not so much today. So we'll see. But there's an effort. Saudi Arabian oil giant Aramco sets a second best ever profit thanks to Joe Biden's war on energy. Saudi oil giant Aramco says it made $121 billion last year. Now, let me just point this out. We are always hearing how capitalism is evil and how private enterprise steals from people and it's just evil. I'm sorry. Saudi Aramco is a state-owned enterprise who turned a profit of $121 billion last year selling oil. That is a state-owned enterprise. A state-owned enterprise. A SOE. That's what communism does. Wow. Saudi oil giant Aramco on Sunday reported it made $121 billion in profit last year, down from 2022 when prices were even higher. It's the second highest ever profit for Aramco. Wow. They report $161 billion in 2022. So that means that in 2 years, the Saudis have made $282 billion in profit off of oil. Wow. 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 State-owned enterprises. Good gig if you can get into it, if they're not run by the ANC. Well, the Pope is torquing off people in Ukraine. He's really pissed off a lot of people. The Argentinian wonder, once again, sticking his nose in other people's politics when he should be focused more on the sex scandals and the abuse of boys and girls by Catholic priests in his own flock. That's what he should be focused on. Well, Pope Francis' failure to condemn Moscow as an aggressor was decried as shameful and incomprehensible. He says that Ukraine should raise the white flag and end the war with Russia, which many of us have said. The Ukrainian government has responded angrily and vowed never to surrender after Pope Francis said the country should have the courage to raise the white flag and negotiate an end of war with Russia. Our flag is yellow and blue. This is the flag by which we live, die, and prevail. We shall never raise any other flags, Ukraine's Foreign Minister Dmytro Kuleba said on social media Sunday as he sat comfortably in his heated, air-conditioned home with his lovely luxury meals while soldiers die in the front line. Well, Portugal, a conservative government has been elected, and they're attacking it as already far right. Au Portugal, l'opposition de centre-droit remporte les législatives et refuse de gouverner avec l'extrême droite. So, Louis Montenegro will not form an alliance with the extreme right. Louis Montenegro de l'Alliance démocratique ne sera pas en mesure de former une majorité stable à lui seul, mais il a réaffirmé son refus de diriger le pays avec le soutien du parti populiste Chega, qui a réalisé un nouveau passé électoral. So Louis Montenegro, the leader of the Democratic Alliance, says will not be able to form a majority government on his own. However, he's reaffirmed his refusal to lead a coalition with the right-wing populist movement Chega, who have reached a new electoral high. So Portugal's conservatives have won, but not the extreme right. Portugal's center-right Democratic Alliance won Sunday's general election. Its leader, Louis Montenegro, said it was unclear if he could govern without support of far-right Chega, with whom he again refused to negotiate. Chega's parliamentary representation more than quadrupled to at least 48 lawmakers in the 230-seat legislature, giving the combined right a majority. The result underscores the political tilt to the far right across Europe. Portugal, which has only returned to democracy after the fall of fascist dictatorship 50 years ago, had long been considered immune to the rise of right-wing populism, which is expected to result in gains for far-right parties in European elections in June. Well, this is what happens when people give away your country to criminal alien invaders. U.S. military has evacuated personnel from Port-au-Prince in Haiti, the American embassy under threat. Violence in the country has spiraled out of control in recent months. U.S. military has evacuated some of its embassy personnel from Haiti and will bolster security around the embassy amid escalating violence. Its airlift of personnel into and out of the embassy is consistent with our standard practice for embassy security augmentation worldwide, and no Haitians were on board the military aircraft, which departed. As a statement came out yesterday from the Southern Command. So Haiti is under a state of emergency right now because of gang violence after the prison break. Sleepy Joe has signed 6 more spending package bills. Yep, after the Senate stops a shutdown. Congress faced another shutdown on March 22nd for the military and many non-defense programs funded under the rest of the dozen spending bills. The upper chamber passed the measure 7522 following votes on a handful of Republican amendments that failed on the floor. The bill takes care of budgets for more than a dozen federal departments, including agencies that handle transportation, energy, housing, agriculture, veterans programs, among others. So our government still can't pass a budget. Donald Trump has hosted the leader of Hungary, Viktor Orban, at his residence in Mar-a-Lago. NBC News goes to the point of saying it's highly unusual for a visiting head of state to travel to the U.S. and meet with a political opponent of the president without also meeting top officials in the White House. Well, not so unusual when Joe Biden and the Biden regime have demonized Viktor Orban over and over and over again. Why would he want to meet with those scumbags? Former President Donald Trump Friday met with Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban at Mar-a-Lago, drawing a swift rebuke from Sleepy Joe, who was woke up just for the point of complaining. The Trump campaign said the two met at Mar-a-Lago to discuss a wide range of issues affecting Hungary and the United States, including the paramount importance of strong, secure borders to protect sovereignty of each nation. Orban has sought to turn his country into a illiberal state while resisting the expansion of NATO and additional aid to Ukraine. Has faced criticism for efforts undermining democracy in Hungary by weakening the judiciary and stifling independent media. He has been forging close ties with Russian President Vladimir Putin. Okay, that's just fake news, NBC. He's not forging an illiberal state. He has not resisted expansion of NATO. He has demanded concessions from those aspiring to be part of it, and he signed it. So he signed the protocol. He signed the protocol for Finland before Turkey did, and he signed the protocol for Sweden after Turkey did. So, it's Turkey, the Islamist state of Turkey, that is the obstructionist here. He's undermining democracy by weakening the judiciary. How is he weakening the judiciary without explaining here? Yeah. Anyway, and forging close ties with Putin, unlikely. This is just another slander campaign by NBC News. 2 National Guardsmen and a Border Patrol agent killed in a helicopter crash because of the criminal alien invaders. A UH-72 Lakota helicopter went down during operations. 2 National Guard soldiers and a Border Patrol agent killed in a helicopter crash on the border in Texas. Another soldier on board was injured when the helicopter went down, according to a statement released by Joint Task Force North, a joint service military command based in Fort Bliss. They were conducting aviation operations over the southwest border when it crashed near Rio Grande City at 2:50 in the afternoon. Cause of the accident, it's under investigation. Looks like it was clear skies. So American military and Border Patrol agent died as a consequence of needing to patrol a border that should have a wall and should not need people Petroleum. The fire department of New York is run by a fanatical fascist who is seeking to punish firemen for exercising their First Amendment rights after the fire department tried to set up a bogus political event to favor Letitia James. They brought Letitia James down to be at the promotion of the second ever chaplain for the fire department of New York, a black woman. And so they brought a black woman down, Letitia James, to celebrate that. And the crowd booed her. And now they want to punish these people. FDNY commissioner is branded a fascist pit bull for threatening to hunt down firefighters who booed Attorney General Letitia James and chanted Trump during her speech in Brooklyn. FDNY Commissioner Laura Kavanaugh, who's never been a fireman, is seeking out those who booed New York Attorney General Letitia James and cheering for Trump during a department ceremony. Department Chair John Hodgkins issued a warning about the investigation by the Bureau of Investigation and urged that those who participated to come clean. The incident occurred during a ceremony honoring the Reverend Pamela Holmes, the department's second female chaplain. Excuse me, so it's not, she's the second female chaplain. Yeah. Firefighters shouted Donald Trump's name as James appealed for calm from those gathered at the Christian Cultural Center on Brooklyn's campus. It appears those behind the chanting may not get away with it if the fire department chiefs have anything to do with it. This evil-looking, nasty person right there is the fire commissioner, Laura Kavanaugh, who never served as a firefighter anywhere. And there, of course, is John Hodges, another clown, and Eric Adams. Boy, it's just clown car show left and right. Hodgkins has urged those involved to come forward voluntarily to avoid being pursued by the department, which is currently reviewing video footage of the entire ceremony. BITS is investigating this, so they'll figure out who the members are. I recommend they come forward. I've been told by the commission it will be better for them to come forward, and we don't have to hunt them down. Wow. Uniformed Fire Officers Association has warned its members on Saturday of the plan, noting how the department was in possession of video footage of the event. Wow. James was speaking weeks after she won a $355 million comical judgment against Donald Trump. The small but noisy section of the crowd ignored her calls for them to simmer down and continued to boo for another minute, then loudly chanted Trump, 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 Trump. Yeah. Wow.
Attorney General Letitia James.
Oh, come on, we're in a house of God. First, simmer down. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for getting it out of your system. First, I want to...
Wow, what an arrogant asshat. So the state of New York can conduct a political rally at the promotion of a firefighter, and the First Amendment right to freedom of speech and political speech is being attacked by the fire department of New York. These people don't care about putting fires out and protecting New Yorkers. They care about political correctness. Kavanaugh is a scumbag, and so is Hodges. Both these people should be removed from office forthwith. They are disgusting, nasty people trying to censor people. You don't like the fact they booed, then maybe you shouldn't bring an idiot up there like Letitia James. Biden's National Science Foundation spent millions in emergency COVID funds last year, but I thought COVID was over. It had nothing to do with COVID. One grant went to a college in Massachusetts to study how floodplains respond to climate change. Since January 2023, Sleepy Joe's National Science Foundation has spent millions of dollars on grants funded by the American Rescue Plan, Biden's $1.9 trillion COVID stimulus package. The grants have nothing to do with COVID, but they do fund studies on climate change. The American Rescue Plan, which Biden said would bring direct relief to families bearing the brunt of COVID-19 crisis, sent $600 million to the NSF. Wow. In July 2023, a grant for $246,000 went to Amherst College to deepen our understanding of how floodplains have responded to climate changes. More than a $7 million grant was awarded a month earlier to the University of Texas at Austin to develop a learning environment that is welcoming to marginalized and minoritized researchers. Excuse me? So this is COVID money, and they gave $7 million to the University of Texas at Austin to develop a learning environment that is welcoming to marginalized and minoritized researchers. Well, given the open racism and misandering against white Anglo-Saxon Protestant males, then that $7 million should come to me because I'm clearly targeted and minority. Just 38% of the population, white Anglo-Saxon Protestant males. We're not really 38% white Anglo-Saxon males. Yeah. Wow. Well, if you live in Pittsburgh, folks, give it up. Forget about it. You're screwed. That's right. Listen to this news story from Pittsburgh. This is crazy. Libs of TikTok reveals a news report in which the Pittsburgh station says that Pittsburgh police will no longer respond to emergency calls including theft, harassment, criminal mischief, and burglar alarms. Between 3 and 7 a.m., there'll be no officers at any police stations. So open season for the criminals. It's like being in South Africa. Wow, the police will not protect you.
Emergency. That means calls like criminal mischief, theft, harassment, and most burglary alarms will all be handled by an enhanced telephone reporting unit. That means residents will file a police report over the phone. Officers will not respond unless it's an emergency. Also, between the hours of 3 a.m. and 7 a.m., there will be no officers at any of the 6 stations throughout the city. Call boxes that link directly to 911 have been installed for people to use in case of an emergency.
So what do those call boxes cost? And is this defunding the police? Pittsburgh residents no longer safe. The law enforcement's not there to protect you. It's there to let criminals get away with crimes. Wow. Majority of voters in a California city ban the rainbow flag and other flags. Majority of voters in California city vote to ban the pride flag. Voters in Huntington Beach passed a measure this week to ban most non-government flags, including the pride rainbow flag, from city property. The charter amendment stipulates the only flags to be displayed by Huntington Beach on city property will be the U.S. flag, the California flag, the Orange County flag, city flag, the POW-MIA flag, the flags of 6 armed services, and during the Summer Olympic Games, the Olympic flag. The measure passed with almost 60% of the 22,337 votes. Wokeism is dying, even in California. Now, I haven't covered this story because it's pretty brutal and disgusting, but yet what appears to be yet another racist hate crime directed against whites where they're in a minority being attacked by a particular group. And of course, none of the media, including this conservative outlet Blaze, even bother to say that the victim is white and the assailant, of course, is black. This is a situation in Missouri, if I'm not mistaken, where there's a fight that broke out and this girl took this other girl and bashed her head repeatedly into the pavement. She's in critical condition, likely has brain damage, and several false reports that she died. But the video is shocking to watch. But this is a daily occurrence here in America and in Europe where this sort of behavior is tolerated because marginalized people are allowed to get away with assaulting and murdering and raping others. Teen girl in critical condition after horrific video shows high school student repeatedly bashing her head into concrete. It appears that the young lady who is the victim here is white and her head being smashed into the pavement by a black thug. Teen girl in Missouri is in critical condition after having her head repeatedly bashed into concrete during a fight. The brutal fight was widely shared on social media. One person hospitalized with critical injuries after a fight Friday near the Hazelwood East High School. Now, Hazelwood East High School is really well known for their Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Leadership Award. They were sued by a former employee who alleged years of discrimination against white employees. So Hazelwood Schools. Wow, this is what's happening. This is stoking racial hatred because people who are criminals are allowed to get away with this and attack others of majority, and they get away with it. Well, Liz Cheney and her corrupt January 6th committee hid documents. And we said this all along. According to Blaze, Liz Cheney and the January 6th committee suppressed key evidence of Trump pushing for 10,000 National Guard troops to protect the Capitol. Scumbag Liz Cheney, Dizzy Lizzie, and the January 6th committee suppressed evidence that former President Trump pushed for 10,000 National Guard troops. Cheney and the Democratic-led House committee on January 6th contended that there was no evidence to support Trump's claim that the White House had pressed for 10,000. However, a transcribed interview conducted by the committee from January 2022 appears to show evidence that Trump urged Democratic leadership to bring in thousands of National Guard troops to prevent any widespread violence. Then Deputy Chief of Staff Anthony Ornato was interviewed by the committee on January 28, 2022. Transcript shows he told Cheney and other investigators that he overheard White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows urge Democratic Mayor Muriel Bowser to request as many National Guard troops as she needed to protect the city before demonstrations centered around the results of the 2020 election. Testified that Meadows wanted to know if she needed any more guardsmen. And I remember the number 10,000 coming up, The president wants to make sure you have enough, He is willing to ask for 10,000. I remember that number. Molly Hemingway wrote, not only did the committee not accurately characterize the interview, they suppressed the transcript from public review. On top of that, committee allies began publicizing critical stories and even conspiracy theories about Ornato ahead of the follow-up interviews with him. Ornato was a career Secret Service official who'd been detailed the security position in the White House. Wow. So we knew this all along. Now we have the proof. And this is the big lie. And so the press will still continue to say, well, everything, they'll say Trump tells the big lie. The big lie is the January 6th committee. And it's been revealed for the fraud that is. Now, ladies and gentlemen, in order to convict someone of treason in America, 2 eyewitnesses must observe the treason being committed. I submit to you that although this was on Meet the Press and NBC is an also-ran, has-been media outlet, we probably have hundreds, if not a few thousand people actually saw Adam Schiff commit treason.
If he officially secures the nomination, despite the fact that he's facing 40 felony charges for his handling of classified documents. As the former chair of the House Intelligence Committee, do you think it's appropriate for him to receive intelligence briefings?
So Adam Schiff, the man who promised to show us the proof that Donald Trump was in league with the Russians, but I can't show you it's classified. Of course, if it's classified, why are you outside of a skiff or outside of security walking around with classified documents in your hand, holding it up? You're just full of it. So Adam Schiff, who 7 years later has failed to produce a single document for his fantasy self-wanking story about how Donald Trump colluded with the Russians, no proof whatsoever, 7 years later. Adam Schiff now saying that Donald Trump, as a nominee, should be excluded from intelligence briefings in violation of the standard practice. So let's hear what he's got to say.
Well, that is the practice, but we've never had a situation where one of the candidates for president has been so criminally negligent when it comes to handling, if not worse.
So he's going to argue that Trump should not get the intelligence briefings, that they should lie to Trump. This is treason. The incoming president will be denied access to information based on Adam Schiff's fantasies, a man running for the Senate in California. That's treason. And we've got at least 2 witnesses, so he should be charged with treason. Middlebury students in the middle tried to host a vigil for victims of October 7th, and they were told to remove the word Jewish. Department of Education investigating Middlebury over anti-Semitism. October 10th, 3 days after Hamas murdered 1,200 Israelis and abducted hundreds more, and Jewish students at Middlebury College were trying to organize a vigil for victims. They reached out to Middlebury's Dean of Students, Derek Douchet, or Derek Douchebag, with a draft poster promoting the event, which they invited administrators at the elite liberal arts school to attend. Stand in solidarity with the Jewish people, the poster read. This will be an opportunity to honor the innocent lives lost in the tragic events that have struck Israel in the past few days. Didn't go over well. In an email to students reviewed by the Washington Free Beacon, Mr. Douchebag, who has oversight of student activities, pushed to rename the vigil and strip it of reference to Judaism so as to make it as inclusive as possible. He said some suggestions that might help are stating that this gathering is to honor all the innocent lives lost and include a reference to the tragedies that struck Israel and Gaza. And he said that calls for solidarity with Jews could trigger unhelpful reactions. On the 10th of October, there had been no tragedy befalling Gaza. Mr. Douchebag is an anti-Semite based on his comments and a Jew hater, and he shouldn't be serving in government. What is going on here? Windows is pulling some crap here. I keep getting notifications or something. I don't know what's going on there. Anyway, that's annoying. All right, so there you have it, folks. There you have it. Unbelievable. Hunter Biden says, I never gave... What is this? I have access. What's going on here? Hunter Biden says he never took the laptop to the repair shop. The story will never end. Hunter Biden has indicated to Congress that he was never visited the Delaware repair shop where his laptop was left, adding a bizarre twist to the computer's sordid history. In closed-door testimony, he said he did remember dropping off the laptop at the Mac shop and cast doubt on the idea. He said he would have taken the computer either to the Apple store 3 blocks from his office or to a store at the Christiana Mall in Newark, Delaware. If I was going to drop off a laptop, I would have gone to the Apple store. Well, the problem with that story, buddy, is that the owner said you brought the laptop. So one of you is lying. A high school student was told to remove an American flag, illegally told to remove an American flag because America-hating high school administrators. These are the people teaching our children. An Indiana teen was ordered by school administrators to remove an American flag from his pickup truck, but refused. It was just another day of classes for 17-year-old Cameron Blasick, a senior at East Central High School in St. Leon, when he was summoned to the principal's office on Thursday and told the flag needed to go or he would be written up for insubordination. He refused, and after his mother brought attention to the un-American attitude of the school in a social media post, other students flooded the parking lot with their own flags, a show of defiance that forced the leftist bullies to back down. Yeah, the school came to me and told me, you got to remove the flag, otherwise you're going to get written up for insubordination. I kind of just told them straight up from the get-go that's not going to happen. I read their own handbook and all their guidelines and Indiana state laws and everything that shows I'm perfectly legal and fine to fly that flag. So I was kind of shocked, he said, with support from his fellow students. I'm kind of like, holy cow, everybody's got flags. I wasn't expecting any of that, but I thought it was kind of cool everybody came together like that. After careful consideration and recognition of the importance of the U.S. flag as a symbol of unity and national identity, I'm pleased to inform you that we are allowing the display of the U.S. flag by students in the East Central High School parking lot. East Central Principal Tom Black, leftist, got caught and called out. They tried to deny. Of course, they put rainbow flags promoting homosexuality in the classrooms. Now, if students want to put rainbow flags on their vehicles outside, that's their prerogative. But it's not the place of the government to promote homosexuality or heterosexuality. That is not their role. It is not the role of government to promote Christianity or to promote Islam or Judaism. It is not the role of the government to deny First Amendment rights of freedom of speech by flying the American flag. These scumbags of this school should be removed. Removed. Simple as that. Well, apparently sneaky drivers are getting kind of clever. They got these little, James Bond flippers that come down to their license plates to avoid paying tolls. And officials are not happy about it. It's like the Batmobile. Sneaky drivers are dodging toll cameras and costing authority millions. Officials looking to crack down on the James Bond-style tag flippers. And other means to obstruct plates. It's about fairness. That's the approach more Americans are taking to dodge toll fares. No photo, no bill. Oh, wow. Mechanical devices that can hide a driver's tag at the push of a button are sold online for a couple $100. Other drivers are getting creative on the cheap using jury-rigged their plates with face mask or duct tape. There's a lot of innovative people out there with a lot of time in their hands. Said Robin Bramwell Stewart, Deputy Director of the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey, whose facilities include the GW Bridge and the Lincoln and Holland tunnels. New York City has lost toll revenue due to obstructed plates yearly. $20 million. It's hilarious. Authorities in the Dallas and San Francisco area say they missed out on more than 33 million combined in tolls last year due to such tactics. Some drivers have power washed paint off their plates or cover them with a range of household items. Now, I don't encourage lawlessness, folks. You're supposed to have a visible license plate for authorities to be able to check on who you are. But it is still funny to see people trying to get around this nonsense. I love the flippers. They are entrepreneurs. That is indeed the case. He flew it when he was high. Huh? Okay. A lot of people are enjoying the whole media sensationalism and everything filmed and viewed. Oh, you talking about that girl being beaten? We had our streets electrical box destroyed at 4 a.m. on Sunday. Yeah. What is wrong with people? Yeah, there goes Pittsburgh. New York Fire Department will be crushed by the firefighters union or pay the pension fund. Yep. Yeah, the world is sick. If oil was found south, the government would keep very quiet. There's no oil in South Africa. Well, there is some oil. It's off the South Atlantic coast there. How much lost income to PA lies beneath the surface that could increase supply and underlying economic opportunity for homeland state legislatures asleep at the wheel best? They are. And you're right, Mike, and that's one reason why I am actually running for the Pennsylvania legislature, because it's asleep at the wheel. And it needs someone that cares about drill, baby, drill. Pennsylvania is the largest exporter of electricity in the country. We ship more electricity outside our borders than any other state. And what happens? We pay a fortune for electricity. Why is that? That's because of RGGI, the Regional Greenhouse Gas Initiative. That's because of limits on natural gas, even though we're the second largest producer of natural gas in the country, despite the efforts to try to stop the industry. And also because of the abandonment of coal. And the forced requirement that 18% of our electricity must be generated by alternative means, which, of course, if the utilities can't generate it by solar panels, because there's not much hydroelectric in Pennsylvania, if they can't generate by solar panels, or wind, mostly solar, then they have to buy credits. And by buying credits, it increases the cost of our electricity. And all a scam to enrich the left. Yep. Match a group of people who take land for themselves and not to the people it belongs to. Only this time it's not white colonists. Exactly. My own land, but still pay taxes and tax on it. So do I really? No, exactly, you don't. Last time I drew my SASA pension was November. It had a balance left in that account. My SASA balance is now 0. Wow. Erica's been talking about that, so there you go. Hey, Ulrich Fenter, welcome to you. Errol Vitamin says, Colonel Wyatt's news the best ever. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. Dark Star's here. But apparently people liked Morning Shot's version of Pravin Gordhan analysis better than mine. That's people's prerogatives. But mine, I think, was more detailed, insightful, and factual. Anyway, Herr Janssen van Rensburg. Thank you. Just off to work. Okay, well, have a safe journey to work and take care of yourself. Right. So the video I did earlier, the AMC imploding last night, that one now has gone over 5,000. We're at 5,600 almost, but it's really tailing off now. It's just getting about 150 views per hour. It was getting 500 per hour. So 5,600. But hey, it's better than nothing. I'll take it. That's the biggest one I've had. I haven't had 5,000 live stream since February 19th. It was the last one. So yeah, it's almost a month, 3 weeks since I had one that good. So I'll take it. I'll take it, man. And we're approaching 6,000 or 14,700 viewers. There's a little bit of growth here. So I'm sorry you're getting buffering. I'm not really getting it now. So sorry, Charles. Latest fad: South Africa to steal honey, destroy the beehives, or steal them outright. They poison the bees by burning rubber. Why do they do that? That's just stupid. Are they dumb? They not realize that the bees are necessary to pollinate food that they're going to eat? It's just dumb. Dumb. Many of the Pennsylvania coal mine towns have been economically crushed and are magnets for criminal activity. Agreed. I'm aware of that. But some of that is a consequence of coal being tapped out. Anthracite, Pennsylvania was the anthracite capital of the world. Scranton was the anthracite capital of the world. That's the hard coal that burns really hot and more clean burning than bituminous coal. So they have been tapping out the anthracite veins for years. Ken says, getting better, Chris? Getting better at what, Ken? My health or my videos? Yeah, so, Anyway, yeah, so Monday, folks. It is Monday. Busy week. I've got to leave here shortly and head over for a consultation about my campaign. I have a mate who is a beekeeper, and he complains often that hives are being raided or stolen outright. Yeah. That's right, Kurtz. They get their food from checkers, so why do they need farmers? We've actually had members of Congress say something very similar. It's very stupid. You know, I get my meat from Kroger's. Why do I need farmers? Yeah, okay. Where do you think that food comes from, genius? Where do you think that food comes from? Anyway, yep. The mate who's a beekeeper and complains often that hives. Yeah, no, it's definitely the case. It's really stupid, too. Really, really stupid when you do that, because bees pollinate fully 1/3 of all the food that humans consume is pollinated by bees. Without that, there'd be mass food shortages and hunger. And bees are very fragile. They're incredible creatures, incredible insects, but they're absolutely totally fragile. So many things can take them out, from mold to parasites to viruses. It's really colony collapse disorder, all kinds of things. Yeah. So it's really a shame when people do that sort of thing. But the answer to this is to set up surveillance and then just eliminate these pieces of crap when they try to show up. Just, put some traps out there, catch them. Put some stuff when they walk around that shows up luminescent as they get on their shoes and they brush against trees and such, and then you can identify them. Yep. And then you can arrest them and deal with them. Yep. No, this has been going on forever. I mean, and look, in Africa, that's what people did forever. They stole honey from bees. So you see that in East Africa when they climb up trees and they irritate the bees and smack it and knock down and steal their honey. Yep. They don't care about whether it's sustainable, whether it continues. They just steal the honey and destroy their hives. Yep. The damage and cost is insane. Exactly right. Exactly right. Yep. Exactly right. They don't care about the damage. I mean, look at people cutting down light poles. I told you about that story in Port Elizabeth last year. Ronaldo and I, when I went down there and saw him, I went down to his office, he showed me around, and we went around, and he said, look at these poles right outside his office. These are light poles put up on the beach, and then he showed me the ablution units, which are meant for people to come off the beach to rinse off the salt water and change rooms. The change rooms are completely destroyed. People living in them, defecating in them, broke all the fittings and fixtures, stole everything. And then the light poles, they're all cut at the same level, about that high off the ground, with some sort of saw that came along and cut them evenly so it would be toppled over. Now, people say it's pure cable thieves. No, those people doing the cutting, for the most part, aren't the cable thieves. They're the people who work for the companies. They get paid to install lights. So every one of those lights costs 19,000 Rand. So every time one of those lights is taken out, the city has to pay 19,000 Rand to replace it. In the meantime, the cable thieves come behind them and steal all the cable because now the pole is open and they just cut the cable. It's crazy. And so people are in danger and at risk by being on the beach after dark, and they can't use the ablution units. The spigots don't work, so they have to walk off the beach in salty condition. It's just horrible. This is what happens when you tolerate this criminality. And that's what the ANC has brought us, criminality, decades of criminality, because that's who they are. They're criminals. They're nothing more than criminals. And they're incompetent criminals at that. They're not even good at what they do. If they were good, that'd be something else. Anyway, is Myra Page here? I didn't see Myra. Somebody said sweet Myra. Welcome to Myra Page if she's here. I haven't seen Myra in a while, so welcome. Anyway, yeah, so that's the bottom line with that. Anyway, folks, what's going on in your part of the world? Bikers lead the way in hiding license plates. Do they really, Brian? I didn't know that. Sad to say, comrades in the local nature group claim bees foraging in our development could damage serpentine rock formations. They claim bees. What? Bees don't damage rock formations? That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. Yeah, those people are idiots. Bees are incredible and necessary. By the way, the honey's very good, Mike. I had some of the honey finally. Very good. Thank you for the honey. Yeah, no, bees are incredible. That's one of the things I'm glad I did is enroll at Michigan State University to complete the course to become a beekeeper. Really glad I did it. And then thanks to Garrett, who set it up with our friends down there in Somerset West for me to go out. And the first time I actually engaged with bees after becoming a qualified beekeeper was in South Africa. That was really cool. Those African honeybees who are a little nastier than our European honeybees. But hey, they still make honey. Pretty cool stuff. Anyway, it was warm that day, wasn't it, Garrett? Man, it was really, really warm that day. Woo, man. And putting on that beekeeping suit, cooking inside there. But we got some good footage. In fact, let me see if we can find that. Let me see. Bees. 14, let's see. No, they're not here. So, let me try this. Somerset. There it is. Cape Honeybee Concern. I typed bee and it didn't show up. So it was a 26-minute live stream that we did. This was pretty cool. This was fun, guys. I enjoyed this. Let me do this real quick. There we go. All right, folks. Welcome back to Chris Wyatt Reports. This is Chris outside Somerset West in the Western Cape. We're here with the bee guys. We're going to talk a little bit about bees, and we're going to tell you a little bit about the importance of bees and how they do stuff here. Now, the gentleman in the white outfit is the Pet Zoo film crew, Juan, and the beekeepers are father and son in the Western Cape. All right, let me get over there. All right. So who we got on camera once again? It's Lawrence and Dylan. No, I was waiting for her to answer. No one answered. I don't remember Dylan. I was waiting for Lauren's answer. He's supposed to say, yes, that's me.
They're coming for us. I can hear the chopper.
Yeah, the choppers are coming.
They're coming for us.
So what we're doing now is we're going to inspect the hive, yes?
Absolutely we are, yeah.
Got the smokers down here prepared. One's going really good. The other one's picking up now. Now, how often are you looking into help? Is that part of what you're doing each time?
Even in the States, Chris, you have some really awesome beekeepers.
Yes.
Some really fantastic guys.
Truly talented folks. They know what they're doing. That's pretty cool, huh? That was a lot of fun. It was a 26-minute live stream. It was so hot there. Also got some video. That was from my other phone, so the quality wasn't as good, but only 533 views on that. Dang. Anyway, yeah, so that was what we did last year. Pretty cool stuff, huh? Pretty cool. Anyway, good stuff. Right, let me see something here really quickly. All right, 61 people currently here. All right, so my dad had bees, and I walked past hives every day after school. Never got stung because I wasn't scared. I used to go to the hive and look in the entrance. Yeah, I've only been stung by bees a couple times. Been stung by hornets a couple of times, yeah. It was a scorcher. Yeah, it was a scorcher that day. Welcome to South Africa, says Dylan. Thank you, Dylan. Yeah, Dark Star's here. Welcome, Dark Star. Yeah, thanks. Bees need you to meet our beekeepers. Oh, yeah, no, I'd love to meet your beekeepers, Mike, next time I'm out that way. Absolutely. Beekeepers play a very important role. Farmers play a very important role. You know, agronomists play a very important role, but these people are all demonized by leftists. Anyway, with that, folks, I need to wrap up here because I have to change. And after I change, I've got to hit the road and go for this meeting. So I got to make sure I can sign into something on my laptop before I go, because it might want me to sign in a different way. So thanks a lot for being here. Be sure to hit the like button, and we'll catch you, unless something's breaking, we'll catch you tomorrow. If you haven't watched my video on either, which is probably the case for most people, if you haven't watched my video about Pravin Gordhan's retirement and the slavish devotion by News 24 and Naspers, you can go watch that. If you haven't watched my video about the ANC and where it's polling at, and how it's imploding from last night, which is now 12 hours ago, please go watch that. That one's doing very well. Thank you all so much. Cheers. Take care of yourself, and we'll see you here later on or tomorrow, whichever comes first. Cheers.